Well, greetings everyone, and welcome to another Friday night edition, actually our second edition of And the Winners Are with Mike Valverde. Mike should be joining us here very soon. We're going to talk a little NCAA football, talk a little bit about his Michigan program. Tonight, I believe the Big Ten. Let's see. I was watching a little Indiana, Illinois, and I believe there's another game on also. Uh, just let me take a quick look here. Yeah, we have Illinois at Indiana. We have Temple at Duke. Uh, Duke 24-0. We also have the U.S. Open is going on. Serena is still on uh, her farewell tour. Of course, her and her sister lost in doubles last night. So that is also the end of an era. You can look and see how many games they had also won as a formidable doubles team also. Um, okay, so I see Mike is here, and I see great minds think alike. Good evening there, Mike.
Hold on. Something's wrong with my volume.
We can hear you.
Okay, now I got you. I had my computer on mute. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing fine. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Yeah, well, I'm assuming that your weather isn't too much different from mine, even though you are a little north and a little more inland. But
yeah, we're at 107 right now.
Oh my goodness. Well, we're at a very nice. Well, like I said, I'm not that far from the ocean, so right now we're at a balmy 82 degrees.
82 for where you guys are, pretty warm.
Yeah. But we get, like I said, we got the breeze coming in off the ocean, and things aren't too bad. That's one thing. The weather's not. You can't complain about the weather in San Diego.
No,
unless so
it's like complaining about the weather in Santa Cruz. It's sort of the same thing. Very nice. Nice weather.
Yeah, especially from a guy that moved here from Pittsburgh. I mean,
Oh yeah. That's a whole different story.
Yeah. So, Mike, there's been well, of course, college football season has started, and we've seen a few games already get started. I'm watching a little Big Ten. I'm watching the Illinois Purdue game. The Duke Temple game just kind of got out of hand. It's 24-0 already. But the Big Ten finalized a $7 billion deal with Fox, CBS, and NBC. And we're constantly talking about, how many teams how many conferences there's going to eventually be, super conferences. So, Mike, how many teams do you think will there be in the conference, the Big Ten, and how many conferences do you think there will finally be in 2024?
2024, I see another couple teams sneaking in there, 12, 14, maybe 16 teams. They do 2 conferences, 8 teams each.
Yeah, that's but don't forget, well, like you said, maybe 2. I think Oregon is definitely going to try to get in.
Yeah,
I think that's that's kind of a given. So, who would you kind of predict that fourth team would be?
Well, definitely you're going to get Oregon and maybe another team from the Pac-12, UCLA, and then maybe
Well,
one or
you've got three. You've got USC, UCLA. Those two
uh
are definite. And then, like
okay,
I said, I mean, so it, I think it's a matter of is it Oregon and
Oregon.
Oregon State? Is it Oregon and Washington State? I mean, there there's some dogs there, but there's also some potentials there because of the revenue factor.
Right. And revenue is the king of all things. So I think Oregon is a lock. So that makes three, right? And
Yeah,
then the number four team, I think it'll be sort of a team that is like an independent. Um, I don't. I could see maybe Notre Dame, but to me that'd be more of like a Big 12 kind of thing. But maybe like an Army or a Navy or something to that effect might, um, or just a Division two school that's all of a sudden becomes really really talented. Or but that wouldn't give much of a chance either. I could see an independent. Let's just put it that way.
what do you think about? And again, we're talking about revenue here, not necessarily a program. But what about Stanford?
What about what?
Stanford.
Oh, Stanford. No, I think they'll say Pac-12. I mean, as you mentioned, money is definitely it's going to sway anybody, really, right? Any school. I so to say no to money, I mean, it's kind of ridiculous, but for anything, I think like Stanford would stay. That'd be one of the true Pac-12 schools.
Okay. Um, Michigan finally got over the hump last year, beating the Buckeyes.
Finally,
Uh,
like
who's going to
nine
be
nine in a row or something.
who's going to be your starting quarterback? From what I heard, what Harbaugh is going with two different quarterbacks for two different games.
Yeah, the first 2 weeks they're going to go two different ways, and then we'll see. He's going to make up his mind in week 3 who will be the starting quarterback. Um, McCarthy seems to be the guy, in my opinion, but we'll see. Obviously, he's not good enough to win it outright. Neither one of them did. So, but I think McCarthy is the guy that though. And then you have Cade also, who is also a factor as well. But McCarthy is I think is the guy.
But the teams that you're playing against in the first 2 weeks, are they really a barometer of your season, or is it more a matter of the chemistry that the two quarterbacks have with the team?
Yeah, that's a good point because I mean they play tomorrow. They play Colorado State, right? That is not shouldn't be a threat at all. And then they go and then they play Hawaii, and again, and then Connecticut the third game. So again, what are we looking at? That's as you say, and you make an excellent point. How is that going to really prove? But I think decision making, chemistry, as you pointed out, I think is really huge. And then maybe uh, none of them. I mean, not maybe they're not none of them, but they rotate. Like, but they name the starter, and then 4 weeks later, 3 weeks later, they name the other guy the starter because he's not doing as well or whatever. I don't know what Harbaugh is going to do, but as you mentioned, this is not a test that's a final exam by any means. This is more like a pop quiz.
Yeah, because I mean, do you guys have to repeat what you did last year, beating Ohio State, in order to get back to the playoffs?
Oh, I think so. Um, until they expanded. What did they decided they were going to expand it to 12 teams now?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, we're going to talk about that next.
so
Uh,
until they actually do that, they would absolutely have to be I mean, not Penn State, but Ohio State.
You might be right. Don't sleep on Penn State.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's another one. I mean, any of these teams, no matter how good or how bad they are in the Big 12, they're going. It's going to be a competition.
Look, I mean, being a Buckeye man, I don't. Penn State, Joe Paterno. I mean, that's been a rivalry for years. So, but this year, Penn State is always usually somebody that plays us pretty hard. So, it's going to be interesting with that defense that Penn State's trotting out on the field this year.
Yeah,
Uh,
I mean, I like it.
over under Buckeyes minus 17 and a half over the Irish.
Ooh, that's a good. I'm gonna go over.
Ooh, okay. All right.
I hate Notre Dame. I almost hate Notre Dame as much as I hate Ohio State or Michigan State. So
Yeah, that's another rivalry that has been somewhat, uh, I guess now you could say, watered down during the years, but at one time that was a bitter rivalry too.
oh yeah, for sure.
Uh, what do you think are some of the best current rivalries in football? I mean, uh, we know about the little brown jug and Alabama Auburn, but I mean some of those old meetings have lost its sting. I mean, you
Sure.
still got Texas, Oklahoma, uh, UC, USC, UCLA. That's one of the old rivalries that we
Yep.
might not, that's kind of gone by the wayside. Arizona, USC. What do you think are some of the best rivalries currently?
I don't think you could
And,
ever go.
and don't forget, we're going to see some conference breakups here.
Yes, true, true. And unfortunately, I hope they don't break up rivalries in the process. I think that's one of the things, sort of on a different angle here, that when they reschedule or reformatted the NFL, they made sure that those big rivalries stayed intact. So they did well there. Hopefully, that college football sort of learns that lesson. But as rivalries go, I mean, Army Navy, right? I mean, how that's like probably one of the oldest rivalries, if not the oldest rivalry in college football. And then you
Now,
have
I think that would be a good idea for a conference rather than what they have now. Like an all military, like VMI, Air Force, Army, Navy.
that
All
would be
all
fun.
all of the services have and combined to make one league. I mean, because I think that would also be a money maker for them, and that they could also establish new rivalries. Even though I
Sure.
mean, of course you have the Army, Navy, and uh, Air Force. Has their rivalries, but like I'm saying, what do you think would be new?
Who knew? Oh, that would be maybe with the new combination of the Big Ten. So maybe like a Michigan Cal or something to that effect. Where you get the Pac-12 and then the Big Ten, and you have those former rivalry Rose Bowl games where it was always against the Big Ten and the Pac-12. So something to that effect could be Ohio State and Oregon or whoever. You know what I mean? I could see that sort of becoming a new rivalry.
Yeah, and you could renew that rivalry, Ohio State USC.
Yeah, Ohio State USC. Yeah, exactly. That would be perfect.
Yeah. Um, who would you like to see Michigan? Michigan UCLA, Michigan Oregon.
I would say Michigan UCLA. Um, I think there's been a few games, if I can remember right, between those two teams. If you go back through history, I think they played each other once or twice in the Rose Bowl. Um, So that would be, and then you get really traditional. I mean, USC too. Are very traditional schools, just like Michigan. So that would be really, really fun. I think either UCLA or USC would be great rivalry.
But now, what happens to um, the teams like uh, University of Connecticut, um, Syracuse?
Hmm.
Um, some of the because I mean, I wanted to get Jeffrey on, but I think we'll have him on next week. But there's also a very good possibility that some of those ACC teams are going to get sucked into some of these super conferences also.
Sure.
And I think we're going to see some of these bottom teams, these teams. I mean, um, if financially they're kicked out of these mega conferences or whatever you want to call them. Uh, do you see maybe a revamping of Division 1 AA and Division 2 maybe?
I think you're going to have to, because if, let's just say, I mean, like Syracuse, right? Or as you said,
Rice, right,
Rice.
Rice.
Yeah. I mean, pretty soon, as you mentioned, they're going to go somewhere. They're going to go to different things, and then you're going to see just a crisscrossing of teams going from one conference to another, and they're going to format their own thing. And so you're, by formatting their own thing just by either force or whatever decision, the conferences are going to shape and mold into different ideologies. So you're going to have to label them that's sort of a fit, a football cultural fit. And so I definitely see this landscape changing over the next whatever how many years.
Yeah. uh, I it should be interesting to see how this landscape is in 2026.
Right. Yeah, exactly. What is this going to look like? Are we going to get different names? Is the Big Ten going to be called something different, or whatever,
Well, it's already the Big 14, right?
Right, exactly. It's not the Big Ten anymore. Just like the Big 12, I don't think has 12 teams anymore. I think it
No,
has like 13. So
yeah,
it's probably, yeah.
and
So yeah,
but two of them are moving. Remember, Texas and Oklahoma, right, are moving to the SEC.
correct. True.
So
Nebraska, talking about moving to no, Nebraska already moved. Never mind. Forget about
yeah,
that.
yeah. um, were they on last night? Was it Nebraska that was on last night? I think I know I watched one Nebraska game, but let's talk a little NFL here. And man, your boy Russ hit the jackpot, huh?
Yeah,
5 years, 245 million, 165 guaranteed. What's your thoughts?
well, they definitely want him for the rest of his career. And I don't blame them. I mean, when your last quarterback that was any good was Peyton Manning, back in 2017. It's been a long road of just horde quarterbacks. Now you got Russell Wilson, who, if he wins another Super Bowl or has just right now has a great chance of being a Hall of Famer. Um, you want to ride it as long as you can, and so they made sure they did.
Um, now Russ and Kyler, they both got bigger contracts
Correct.
than Deshaun, but there was less guaranteed money.
Right.
So, do you think that this trend is actually helping the Ratbirds win their contract negotiations with Lamar? Because rumor has it he's been offered Murray money, but once again, I think uh, whereas these guys are getting the contract that says it's bigger than Deshaun Watson's, I you know I don't think the owners are going to go for that fully guaranteed. I mean, what Kurt Cousins and Deshaun Watson, I think that have taught the owners their lessons. What's your thoughts on that?
I think there's so much tied up in a quarterback that if they're afraid that Lamar Jackson walks without some kind of guaranteed money, they're going to give him the guaranteed money. Just the quarterback, having a franchise quarterback, regardless of how good or great or average he is and in everybody. I don't care who, if you're going to a Baltimore Ravens game, you're sure not talking about the offensive tackle. You're talking about what am I going to see Lamar Jackson do today? So not only that, but you got the market value. They're going to guarantee him so much money.
So, everyone else has talked about it. Might as well get your input on this too. What do you think about Mama Agent?
I don't know what her credentials are. What is she? What is she? Is she just a mama, or is she just, or is she an?
Well,
lawyer?
she's not. We know that she's not certified because someone else has to sign off on the deal.
Okay.
So she's not a certified agent, but she represents her son.
Okay.
So I mean,
What is her job though? What is she? Does she
well,
have?
she's not formally trained as an agent. No, I mean, this is kind of like, you know, uh, who can I compare it to in the NBA?
You probably would. I probably wouldn't even know if you're. I get that she's not an agent, but does she have a job outside of just her normal 9 to 5? Does she have a 9 to 5, whatever that is?
Uh, from the way rumor has it, because I haven't done. I will admit I haven't done my due diligence on her as far as what her other job is.
Uh-huh.
But like I said, I know she's not a certified agent. In any contract that she negotiates or that they negotiate, they would have to bring in a certified agent in order for them to form, a lawyer, in other words, and for them to finalize the contract.
Understood.
So she can negotiate the money,
Mhm.
but she can't.
Put her name on the paper.
Right.
Okay. So, I mean, I think if she understands the business, there's no problem with it. I would say go for it. If she understands, obviously, like you said, legally she can't put her name on it, but if she understands the paperwork and she understands the transactional, requirements of what they're asking Lamar Jackson, and you know, she, she wants the best for her son, I could absolutely imagine. So go for it. You have your mom. Hell yeah, why not? Right? I mean, I think that's awesome that he does that, as long as she's, required
Okay.
or understands everything.
Well, let's play devil's advocate here then. Suppose he goes into the season without a contract and he gets hurt in game 4.
If he gets hurt in game 4, I think they're going to see how Tyler Huntley does. And if Tyler Huntley is somewhere near or close to Lamar Jackson, they ain't giving Lamar Jackson a damn thing.
So I come back to the original question. Is it advantage or disadvantage to have Mama Agent there, or someone that is a little bit more familiar with the nuances of the game?
I think Mama Agent should probably take a back seat and be a second driver behind it, because to be honest with you, I wouldn't, even if my mom understood the things right, and I would feel that I wouldn't want her to be emotionally attached to the contract, right? If she can be unemotionally attached to the contract, then that's a whole different thing. If she's emotionally attached to it, in any way, biased by any ways, then I don't think you're doing yourself a favor here. So to me, it would be all depending on what Mrs. Jackson has as far as her biases towards her son. If she takes it as a professional business, go for it. Be there. If not, and she's biased, then I'd be like, Mom, I love you, but I need to make this money.
The Titans make Derrick Henry the highest paid running back in the 2022 season at approximately $14 million. And notice I said at the 2022 season because, hey, the way these contracts are going, we have no idea. But anyway,
right.
And not only did the Titans decide that they would give Derrick Henry all this money, but they also decided that they would sign Josh Gordon to the taxi squad. Your thoughts on Henry's contract and the signing of Josh Gordon?
Well, Henry's contract to me is, I think, I don't know how, was it just a 1 year deal kind of thing, or
no? It's an extension.
It's an extension.
It's an
extension. I don't mind
extension.
an extension on Henry. That's fine. I don't trust him more than another couple years, if that. 1 year or 2 years is all he has left on his body. We'll see how he does this year. I'm even a little worried about him this year, to be honest. They just have ran him into the ground, and we'll see how he responds. But I'm on the doubtful side. Josh Gordon, we'll see. He didn't really do anything in Kansas City for the year that he was there. And I don't know if he'll do anything for Tennessee, but Tennessee doesn't really even need Josh Gordon. So I think it's just more of a name kind of signing than actual production out of a wide receiver.
Okay, now Demetrius isn't here, so I'm going to be the old man with the black socks out on the lawn and shooing the kids off the lawn. It's like,
get off my lawn.
Josh Gordon, really? Are you serious?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you look at all of these guys that we're talking about that didn't get a second or a third chance. What is Josh Gordon on? Number 15?
Yeah, right. Yeah. He's been suspended, I don't know how many different times.
And it's not that he's been that productive.
Right. Exactly. He's had one good year, I think, and that's it. And I don't even know if it was a whole year.
Yeah, so where was it? Can you name where it was in a team? No.
Yeah, Cleveland. The snowy bounds of Cleveland.
Yeah. So I mean, how many times? Ray Rice. Antonio Brown. Come on, man. Really? I mean, like you said, they don't really need him. It's not like it's they got Robert Woods and who else did they have? AJ
well, they drafted Treylon Burks.
Yeah.
They have Nick Westbrook-Ikhine. We'll see if he's any good. He was okay last year.
Both of those guys are going to be more productive than Josh Gordon.
Probably. I would agree with that. Sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So when you talk about the second chances and that, I mean, what is it about Josh Gordon? I don't understand it.
I don't know either. I don't know. It's so weird. It's almost like Sammy Watkins without the suspensions, right? Sammy Watkins always finds a team somewhere and does absolutely nothing. Josh Gordon the same way. He just has all the suspensions that go with it, but no one seems to care that he's been suspended like multiple. I mean, he was partying with Johnny Manziel.
Yeah, out here.
Right.
They were out here in LA.
So just some people. This is what I say about people like this. They walk in between the raindrops. They just, for whatever reason, they get lucky. I don't know, but they shouldn't be in the league. That's, or whatever else, or a president or whatever, they should just, yeah.
The lawyer for Brian Flores and the other NFL coaches that are involved, they don't think that Roger Goodell should be the arbitrator for this racial bias suit. They want a jury trial. What's your thoughts? Will they get it? And when you consider the way that this Deshaun Watson incident has been handled, do you think that Roger will take a more hard-handed approach on this matter?
I don't know. So they want a civil trial? Is that what they want?
Yeah. They want a trial by jury instead of Roger being the arbitrator.
I don't blame them, really. Considering that Roger Goodell has not been the most upright human being in this league, the most consistent judge of character in this league, the fact that he's not done much for people of color in this league. You can make a list of all the things that he's failed at. Would I want him as my arbitrator? Absolutely, hell freaking no. I would not want him as my arbitrator, or as an arbitrator of anything. I don't think he's capable or has the skill set to do so in a fair and judgmental manner.
Got to talk about John Gruden. John says, "Well, look, man, hey, I made a mistake, but I'm a good person. I go to church. I've been married for 31 years. I raised 3 good sons. Do you think that John's going to get another NFL job?"
That's a tough one. I think it's gonna have to be. We'll see what happens with. I don't even know if he's still going to go through with that case or not. I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, he's still young, right? He's got to be only like 50 something, I would imagine. But yeah, I don't know. I'm going to say no. I'm going to say he doesn't get another job.
Okay. Jimmy G. He's got a no trade clause now, unless he okays it, of course. And he's got a fully guaranteed 1-year contract. Shanahan says it's a win-win situation. Do you agree?
So go ahead and give me the details again.
He's got a no trade clause.
Right.
I think it's $6 million fully guaranteed for 1 year.
Okay.
And right now he's Trey's backup.
Yes.
And Shanahan says it's a win-win situation.
Mm-hmm.
But is it really a win-win situation? Suppose, like I said with Lamar, suppose after game 4, San Francisco's 1-3.
Right.
What do you do? Do you just do you destroy Trey's confidence now by bringing Jimmy G back in? I mean, he is, even though he was 33-14. Remember, there still was no team that wanted him as their starting quarterback.
Right. Yes, I do believe that once they guaranteed the Jimmy Garoppolo, they told they probably told Jimmy Garoppolo, there's no chance of you starting here. Regardless of the situation, you're not going to start for our team. I'm a little concerned about that shoulder from Garoppolo. No team wanted him, not even Seattle, when you have only Geno Smith and Drew Lock, really. So him not going to Seattle tells me a lot. him not going to Carolina, even with Baker Mayfield there, tells me a lot. I think that shoulder isn't fully 100%, and they also told Trey Lance the same thing. It don't matter. You are our quarterback. We are not going to bench you. You are a starting quarterback. Just go out and rip it because there's no pressure on you whatsoever. Jimmy Garoppolo is there only for emergency purposes only, and an emergency is not the record that you produce for our team.
You talked about the Panthers. Do you think that they're going to be a playoff team, not with a healthy Baker?
I think they're a 500 team. I don't think they're a playoff team. Oh, not a 500 team, an 8-9 team, an 8-9 team, not a playoff team.
Okay. Are you concerned or confident with the Bucks' troubles at O-line?
Oh man, I'm so concerned about that. I don't know how Tom Brady, who can't move anyways, and is now 45, whatever he is, old, throwing the ball. If he
But
makes
you look good the other night, though.
I didn't see it, but I would assume they're going to have to protect him. And I don't know if they can. I mean, you got almost every single lineman hurt, and he can't. Like I said, he can't move in the pocket, and that's just that's a knee injury waiting to happen in my book.
Okay, Aaron Donald said that God made me the perfect defensive tackle. Mm-hmm. Do you agree with Aaron?
I do. I do believe that he has the quickness of a defensive end, and he has the body width of a defensive tackle on top of having the strength of a defensive tackle. He had long arms, just an absolute. I mean, Michael Phelps to me is the perfect swimmer. Aaron Donald to me is the perfect defensive tackle.
Okay, now I'm going to ask you to compare him to an old school guy because I think, and again, I'm going to be showing my age here, but if I had to choose between Aaron Donald and Merlin Olsen, I'd go with Merlin. Who would you go with?
Well, I didn't really see Merlin play, so I can't really say. I can't compare. But if you say Merlin, I'm going to say yes, sir. I'll go yes, sir with that because you've seen them both play, and I'll totally agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, but you got to remember, when you take it in the context, the text of the game in which they played, Merlin played when there were kind of like no rules.
Yes, true.
But some rules.
Yeah, if they called those rules.
Yeah, I mean, I can remember some of the things that we did just in high school. It was like, like I said, that there was a reason why, my heroes was, Jack Tatum and George Atkinson.
I hear you. I hear you. Those guys, man.
I mean, hey, like I said, and I've said many times, I didn't earn my position because necessarily of my talent, but I knew how to put strike fear in the mouth for it to come across that middle.
There you go. I love it. That's what I love. I love that kind of just go after this. I'll take that kind of over talent any day of the week.
Yeah, I mean, I played football in the Army. I got my face broke. I still got a jaw in there. I mean, a wire in my jaw from where, I got hit by a pulling guard, but, so, I mean, hey, but even then, I'm still running around the field with my mouth hanging open to I want to play. And the coach is like, get over here on the, it's like, you can't, so.
Or Ronnie Lott cutting off his index finger, and like, cut it off. Okay.
It's like and he didn't even have a cigarette lighter to stop the burn, to stop the bleeding. Right. Oh man. Let's see. Oh, I asked this question to Bill because I know you guys follow, like the different guys that go to different teams, and you got your little scout pads made up for dynasty leagues and all like this. And I looked the other day, and there were 7 players that were claimed off waivers that were former Jets.
Wow.
Now, you know, like I said, maybe I'm missing something here, and I know, like I said, I know you guys follow the talent pool. I mean, like I think the headline guy was Leatherwood, right? That
Oh, Alex Leatherwood.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, what is it? That these guys are waived. I mean, are the leftovers from the Jets that good? Am I missing something here? I mean, what was their scouting? Their the last couple of years that good? Where these guys are going to be able to go and make it on another team? I mean, Leatherwood to Chicago. I mean, that really didn't bother me because Chicago's bad anyway. I mean, I can probably pay O line for the Bears.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. I think the this year's draft really helped them make clear room, and that's probably a good start because this team has just been awful for so many years. So they probably felt comfortable enough to let go, and I think they also, because of new coaching and stuff like that, they also want to formulate their own team, and if these players that they cut aren't in their sort of um, offensive schematics or defensive schematics, then they're going to go and start anew. So I think also that had something to do. But I think Alex Leatherwood was a first round selection too, if I remember right.
Yeah, I think he what first round 2000, and I want to say 2020.
20? Yeah, something like that. It's not that long ago.
Yeah, like I said, I know it was fairly recent, but I think it was 2020.
Let's see. Um, um, oh, they named a stadium after Arthur Ashe. I just got a news thing. I had no idea. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
let's see. Round 1, pick 17, 2021.
20. Okay, I said 2020. Well, yeah, that's even less.
Yeah.
But so, you know, uh, like I said, it's. I think the Bears picked up a couple. I'm not sure who else picked up a couple, but uh, 7 players is seems to be quite a lot. Uh,
That seems that's a lot. Usually 4 or 5 maybe, but to have 7 players released.
yeah.
Yeah.
Let's start from where we left off last week when we were talking about our sleepers, our busts, and our breakouts. And last week we did quarterbacks and tight ends. So this week we're going to do running backs and wide receivers. So, sleeper, bust, or breakout? Elijah Mitchell for the 49ers.
I think breakout. Now that they released Trey Sermon, I'm going to go with breakout. I mean, he sort of broke out last year in his rookie because no one really expected it. In fact, they expected Trey Sermon to be what Elijah Mitchell was last year. So he sort of broke out, but I think he really, really puts his name on the map this year, and it's going to be a breakout.
AJ Dillon.
He's definitely a breakout. I think Aaron Jones is going to carry the ball less, and AJ Dillon is going to carry the ball more. This is going to be a very 1A, 1B situation, and Dillon is not only a very good pass catcher, but has very good straight line speed. Powerful, big dude. So A.J. Dillon is definitely a sleeper. Or a breakout. I'm sorry, breakout.
Travis Etienne.
I think he could be a sleeper or a bust. I'm going to go sleeper because I'm just going to be positive about the guy. So we'll see what happens after he misses his entire rookie season, and what we'll see how they play him and what they use him as and how he performs. So I'm going to go a sleeper, but very well could be a bust.
Uh, Kenneth Walker.
It doesn't look good right now for Kenneth Walker. He's dealing with, I think, a groin strain. And Rashad Penny is there. We'll see if Rashad Penny can stay healthy. Right now, I'm going to go, I want to say sleeper because I don't want to be negative, but I think he's a bust.
Rashad Penny.
Breakout. Why not? This will be the first year he stays healthy. He'll show why, like he did last season when he's on the field, how good he really is. And we'll finally put it together this year without the injury and be a breakout
star. Darrell Williams. What is it, Darnell? Darrell Williams, I think it is. For the Cardinals?
Yes. I like Darrell Williams quite a bit. I think he's going to take over the Chase Edmonds role. And he did well. He finished as an RB22 last season when he took over for Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I could see very close to similar output, someone that is almost going invisible in drafts, if not drafted at all, could easily finish anywhere between an RB22 to an RB30.
James Conner.
Bust. I just don't think he's going to stay healthy. He's always had a problem with injuries. The team's going to rely on him as the number one guy. I think he falters to injury. He doesn't perform at the extreme high rate that he did last year, scoring, I think, 18 touchdowns or something to that effect. He's going to regress more to the mean of, maybe 12, 11, 10, something like that. And then injury. So, yeah, I'm going to go bust for James Conner.
Nick Chubb.
I'm also going to go bust for Nick Chubb. I love the way Nick Chubb runs the ball. He's one of the best running backs altogether in football. But Kareem Hunt catches the ball. Nick Chubb really doesn't in this offense. There's no threat at quarterback with Jacoby Brissett. So you're going to see a lot of stacked boxes against Nick Chubb. And Nick Chubb relies a lot on his mobility and maneuvering and setting up tackles and avoiding tackles. I don't think you can do that with so many men in the box. So, to me, Nick Chubb is a bust.
J.K. Dobbins.
Another bust. He's still dealing with an injury. I don't know if he's going to come back for this or how long it's going to take him to come back with this. Till then I'm going to have to say he's a bust. He's going to have to show me something different.
Cordell Patterson.
He's just far too old. I'm going to say he's a sleeper because there's really no other running back in that backfield outside of the rookie Tyler Algier, who they think they drafted in the 5th round or something to that effect. He had a great season last year, but as the season wore on and he got tired and broken down. But if they manage it right, he could really be someone that breaks out completely this year.
Javonte Williams.
Bust. I like Javonte Williams. I think he has special talent, but with Melvin Gordon there used to be a 2-back role because of the way the offense was run last year. That is now gone. And then not only that, you're going to be passing more, but you're going to have Russell Wilson. So he's going to be running the ball. He's going to be passing the ball quite a deal more than Teddy Bridgewater. And then you also have Melvin Gordon eating into carries. It's just not going to work for him. And he's way too high ADP-wise for him to be a breakout player or even a sleeper player. He's just only a bust.
You mentioned him, Melvin Gordon.
I think Melvin Gordon is what he is. He's too old to sort of be a sleeper. A breakout. He's too old to sort of be a breakout. He could be a sleeper just if Javonte Williams gets injured and Melvin Gordon takes the rollover, and he could really outdistance his ADP. So I'm going to go sleeper.
Khalil Herbert.
Now he could be a breakout, especially if David Montgomery gets injured or they decide that they're going to go with the two back kind of set. Khalil Herbert showed me a lot last year. He did really well with Montgomery hurt. They had Damian Williams take over in the beginning, but Khalil Herbert knocked him off the pedestal, and he became the primary back while Montgomery was out. So then of course you have the ACL tear of Tariq Cohen, and someone needs to play that third down role. So I can see Khalil Herbert really being that.
David Montgomery.
David Montgomery is going to be more of a bust than anything else. He's not really a sleeper. I don't see him breaking out. Just that offense is just, as we talked about, that offensive line is just really bad for him to be of a breakout. So the only thing left for him is to be a bust.
Dameon Pierce.
He could be a sleeper. I don't think he'll be a breakout just because, as I'm talking about the Bears, the Houston Texans offense isn't much better. So if better at all. So with a poor offense, I really think that he's sort of capsized and he doesn't catch the ball very well. I think that's why they kept Brooks Burkhead, was for him to be the third down back. So fantasy point wise, standard leagues, maybe a little bit more of a breakout, but I think if anything, he's just a sleeper right
now. The Texans cut Marlon Mack and brought him back. Does he have any fantasy value?
I would thought so, but I think I don't know. They brought him in and then they cut him. Tells me a lot that he doesn't have anything left. That his Achilles killed his career, and it happens. That Achilles tendon saps your explosiveness, and if you can't respond, and it doesn't seem like he did, then your career is gone, is over. And I think that's the case for Marlon Mack, unfortunately.
Edwards-Helaire.
I'm going to go bust. I don't see him doing anything in Kansas City. They don't throw to him. He's not a goal line short yardage back, and there's really no role for him. The offense is not a good fit. I don't know what Andy Reid was thinking when he drafted Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He would have been much better off drafting Jonathan Taylor, not because Jonathan Taylor is shown to be better, but because Jonathan Taylor is a better fit for that offense than Clyde Edwards-Helaire is. I think Andy Reid saw a lot of him in Brian Westbrook and got excited and overly excited and is now regretting that decision.
What about Ronald Jones? Ronald Jones or McKinnon? Who's going to get that second spot? Do you think Ronald Jones is going to, as it is now, the fourth down on the depth chart? It's likely that he might not make it if Isaiah Pacheco.
Pacheco, yeah, Isaiah Pacheco, who's come on.
Yeah.
He could be another one of those Mack kind of things where he's cut, Marlon Mack cut, and then I think Ronald Jones has a better opportunity to land somewhere than Marlon Mack does. But yeah, I would not draft Ronald Jones.
Josh Jacobs.
Josh Jacobs is more of a bust because sleeper, not so much. Breakout, I don't see that happening with Las Vegas and being on that team. So that leaves a bust, but I still like where he's going in drafts. I would pull the trigger anytime at RB19.
is he a bust because of the talent around him? You know, seeing as how that they've brought in, well, you got
Devontae.
Walker, you got Walker there, you got
Yeah.
Devontae there. Uh, Renfro is kind of an old standby. He's kind of, it's like an old shoe. He's kind of, comfortable with Renfro. So, what's your thoughts? Uh, and if I'm not, am I correct? Is this a contract year for possibly for Jacobs?
Yeah, they have not extended him. So right now he's playing on, I think, either a franchise tag or his last year. But really,
I think it's his last year. I believe. Now I might be wrong, but I believe.
I
Uh,
think you're right. I think that's correct. And so yeah, he really doesn't have a contract. So if he gets hurt, it's gonna not be good for him whatsoever. Uh, So yeah, I mean, I think more of it has to do with the talent around him. The addition of Devonte Adams really put a lot of pressure on him because now you have another mouth to feed and the primary mouth to feed. So he's gone from maybe the second to third target to third, fourth, fifth target now on the team.
and well, I'll have to get off into him in a minute. Uh, but let's see who else I got on this list here. Miles Sanders.
Yeah, Miles Sanders to me is a bust. They went and got Trey Sermon, and Trey Sermon might be a better Miles Sanders than Miles Sanders. So he didn't even score a touchdown last year, not even on the ground or in the air. He doesn't show much of a receiver out of the backfield like many thought he would be. He has home run speed, home run capability, but I don't. I see him as a bust. He hasn't really put it all together yet, and now it's going to be his third, fourth season. So for me, Miles Sanders bust.
Antonio Gibson.
Well, things really, really helped Antonio Gibson in an unfortunate situation with Brian Robinson. Um, and now I mean, I don't want to speak highly of someone's, situation, but the, Antonio Gibson with Brian Robinson being shot and probably out for the season really opened the door big time for Antonio Gibson to score more touchdowns, to be more active in this offense. So I'm going to go breakout with Antonio Gibson.
Oh, okay. All right. Let's get into some wide receivers here. Chris Olave.
I think he's more of a sleeper. I like the combination of Jameis Winston's arm with Chris Olave's deep threat, but he's not someone that's going to be running a lot of patterns outside of 7, 8, or 9 routes. So he's either going to go to the post, he's going to go to the corner, or he's going to go straight ahead. And so, yeah, there's not much he's going to do. So I'm going to go sleeper.
Michael Thomas.
I think Michael Thomas is a breakout. I think he's someone that hasn't been playing for 2 years, and he's going to come back, and he's not going to catch 155 passes, but he's going to be a lot better than I think people think he is. He's going like round 5 right now. I think he could easily be around 2 next year.
Julio Jones.
Bust. Yeah, there's nothing left in Julio, unfortunately. Too many injuries for Julio to be anything more than a guy on the field that the defensive coordinators were going to have to look at and go, well, they do have Julio. How do we sort of do this? But outside of that, there's nothing left in him.
Russell Gage.
Russell Gage had a couple opportunities last year, especially in Atlanta. Has shown some creative in route running, but for the most part, he hasn't done much of anything. So Tom Brady can make anybody out of anybody except for maybe Julio Jones, who's just too old and too injured. But yeah, I'm gonna go bust for Russell Gage for right now.
Drake London.
A sleeper. And I think Kyle Pitts is going to get bracketed, which is going to leave Drake London more than wide open. And it's going to have to be the quarterbacks. Mariota or Ritter are going to have to give him the ball. And can they? I don't know. But I think with the fact that Pitts is there, that's going to open up a lot of plays for Drake London and therefore a sleeper.
Terry McLaurin.
I think he's going to be a sleeper myself. Carson Wentz can make a top 14 wide receiver, and I think McLaurin is that right now. I think McLaurin is definitely a wide receiver 14 on this team.
Jahan Dotson.
Again, a rookie. I don't want to be too negative on a rookie, so I'm going to go sleeper for Jahan Dotson.
Rondell Moore.
I think he could break out. I really do. With the fact that DeAndre Hopkins is suspended for 6 games, if they use Rondell Moore in that out route that DeAndre Hopkins runs all the time, he could get a lot of passes, and with that speed, turn it upfield and take it all the way. I like Rondell Moore. I'm going to go break out. Or
Jerry Jeudy.
Bust. Unfortunately, I think it's either going to be Jerry Jeudy or it's going to be Courtland Sutton, who's going to have a fantastic season. Right now, it's a coin toss, but in my mind, it's not a coin toss. It's all Courtland Sutton. So Jerry Jeudy is a bust.
Oh, well, I guess you answered the Courtland Sutton question. Don't have to go
Oh,
there.
yeah, there you go.
Amari Cooper.
Bust. With Jacoby Brissett. Amari Cooper is pretty much an intermediate to deep threat, and that's not Jacoby Brissett's game. So he's not going to get much action at all. So unfortunately, bust.
Deontay Johnson.
He's another bust for me. He's going way too high. I don't like any, as you know, there's the quarterbacks in Pittsburgh. Who are they? What are they going to do? You know, they got a lot of mouths to feed. They went and got George Pickens, Pat Freiermuth, Claypool, Najee Harris, on and on and on and on and on. I just don't see Deontay Johnson being that guy this year.
Pickens.
Yeah, George Pickens is another one. I mean, Mitchell Trubisky has a good arm, and Pickens can go up and get it, but being a rookie, I'm just going to go sleeper.
Claypool.
Bust. I think he's just not in that. I mean, if it was Patrick Mahomes at the quarterback, I mean, outside of being Patrick Mahomes, but someone legitimately good, like Ryan Fitzpatrick, for God's sake, someone that can throw the ball deep, that is accurate, that is, you know, someone that is just a solid quarterback. I'd be happy. I'm much more happy for Chase Claypool, but none of this is what the Steelers quarterback. So, I mean, as I mentioned, Mitchell Trubisky has a strong arm, but he's not, you know, super arm, you know, and I just don't like it. I think he's in a bad situation because of the quarterbacks, and not really so much his talent.
Allen Robinson, the second.
Sleeper. We'll see how he bounces back from his injury, but if he can and he is, you know, good to go, then with that Rams offense, he could really finish as a wide receiver 15, 16.
Tyree Hill.
He's going to take a big hit. Not only is he getting older, but he has Tua Tagovailoa as his quarterback. Tua can throw it deep, but I don't know how accurate and how repetitious he can be with the deep ball. He was really good last year, but they only threw it 25 times, I think it was, and he was like connected on 23 of them. But when you don't expect the deep ball, it's easier to get, you know, past the safeties and have wide open plays. So they're going to expect now that with Tyreek Hill. So they're going to be on guard for that. I'm going to say more of a bust than a breakout for Tyreek Hill.
Jalen Waddle.
Jalen Waddle's the sleeper because with Hill going deep and clearing room underneath, Jalen Waddle can live underneath there like all day long. And it doesn't seem like Mike Gesicki is doing much. So that leaves just Jalen Waddle. And I think with Jalen Waddle there, he can really break out his second season.
Thielen.
I think he's going to be a bust. He's been declining since the last 3 years, slowly but surely. I do like the role he's in. He's more of a red zone kind of guy. So he still has benefit. He still has play value. He still has starter value. But it's
He gives you 9 to 10 touchdowns a year, though.
yeah. He's gonna score touchdowns for sure. So that's why, and he's gonna catch like 65, 70 passes, but it's not what he used to be. So I'm gonna go more of a bust, but it's not like a horrible term. It's not bust like, and oh God, stay away from this guy.
Okay. Um, let's see who else is on that depth chart from Minnesota. Uh, KJ Osborne.
I think he could be a sleeper, especially if they open up more of the passing game, which I think they will. He's a very good third receiver, not only in the Vikings but anywhere. Really, he's a solid guy. And if say something should happen with Jefferson or Thielen, he'd be the number 2 guy. And he's shown some promise being that number 2 guy when I believe Thielen was hurt last year. So I'm going to go sleeper with KJ Osborne.
Now, the Vikings picked up an extra wide receiver this year. I think he was. Did they get him from the Eagles? Rieger?
Oh, Jalen Rieger. Yes, from the Eagles. Jalen Rieger, a new site, new place. Should never have been a first-round pick in the first place.
As I was going to say, that's another guy, that was taken really high and has never proved his value.
Yeah, and he was just selected 2 years ago.
Yeah.
This would be his third year, and they're like, "Oh, we've seen enough, dude. You're out of here." And they in fact they passed up Justin Jefferson for him. So it's Jalen Rieger is a bust in my opinion.
Elijah Moore.
I think all this is really tied to Zach Wilson. If Zach Wilson could get better, then I have a lot more help for Elijah Moore. But Elijah Moore and Zach Wilson did not do absolutely anything. He did more with the backup quarterbacks than he did with Zach Wilson. So it's hard for me to say anything about Elijah Moore as far as him, the talent. It's to me, it's Zach Wilson. If Zach Wilson can perform, then Elijah Moore is a breakout. If Zach Wilson looks pretty similar to last year, then he's a bust.
Then where would you put Garrett Wilson?
Yeah, he's a bust for me too. Garrett Wilson is more of a deep kind of intermediate to deep kind of receiver, which is great for Zach Wilson. I mean, the guy has a cannon, but ain't going to do much when you're throwing it over his head by 20 yards. So, for right now, he's just a sleeper.
Marvin Jones.
Yeah, I like Marvin Jones. He's a sleeper to me too. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to get better. They got Christian Kirk to sort of go deep and open it up a little bit for Marvin Jones. I don't think Marvin Jones is the deep receiver anymore as he was in Detroit. He's more the intermediate guy. And I think Trevor Lawrence is going to be much better. And Marvin Jones was a wide receiver 32, 33 last year. And then he was a wide receiver 9 the year before and like a wide receiver 27 the year before. So for him to be almost basically in an undrafted situation is just kind of crazy to me. I say go out and get Marvin Jones with your last pick of the draft and watch him, be a breakout player.
DK Metcalf.
Bust. every receiver on that team is a bust to me until proven otherwise. I talking about bad quarterbacks. Yeah, I can't trust DK Metcalf. I can't trust Tyler Lockett. I can maybe trust the run game a little bit. They're going to load the box again because, as I said, they're not threatened by Drew Lock or Geno Smith by that matter. So, yeah, bust.
Well, glad you give me these 2-for-1 answers. I don't have to worry about asking you about Lockett now. So, okay. And, Ayuk, Brandon Ayuk.
I think he's a sleeper. I like to see what transpires with Trevor Lawrence, Trey Lance, how good he's going to be. But Brandon Knight showed a lot his rookie season in 2020. In 2021, it was all Deebo Samuel. So, but he did show flashes. There's talent there for sure. Now, how they're going to use that will be a whole different situation. So, I'm not going to go breakout, but I do think he can have some sleeper value.
Jawan Jennings.
Bust. He got like 3 touchdowns or something like that in game 1 of last year, and then like 1 after that. He's not much of anything, just a tall body that Jameis Winston can target near the goal line.
You mean Trey Lawrence? I mean, yeah, he's.
Did Jawan Jennings go to San Francisco?
Yeah,
or maybe
yeah.
I thought I was thinking. Okay.
Yeah, Jawan. He's third on the depth chart. He's wide receiver 3. But behind Deebo, Ayuk, and then Jawan Jennings.
Okay.
So the obvious Deebo.
Yeah, Deebo. It depends on where you draft Deebo. He's not going to have the same performance as he did last year because Trey Lance can run, and Trey Lance can throw deep. I think his role is going to be minimized. He's not going to get that running back role as much as he once did because of those reasons. So, temper expectations. I don't think he's a bust. He broke out last year, so I guess I'll go sleeper because it's the last quarter category there.
All right, now we're gonna get your predictions here, and I'm gonna give you the over/under. You can go the over/under, or you can go by the point spread.
Okay.
So week 1, we got the Bills minus 2.5 over the Rams, and the over/under is 52.5.
I'm going to go. That's a big game. If that many points are going to be scored, I'm going to go with the Bills, plus the 2.5.
You mean minus the 2.5?
Minus the 2.5. Oh, they're favored by 2.5. Correct.
Yeah.
So yes, the 2.5. The Bills.
Okay. The Saints favored by 5.5 over the Falcons. Over/under is 42.5.
Yeah, unfortunately, probably one of the most boring games over the weekend. I agree. Saints over Falcons. The Falcons are going to have to show something. They got a new quarterback. They have very little offense. I don't even know who really is going to be the running back. Are they going to have a 3-headed running back? What's going on with this offense? And until they can demonstrate what they're doing, then I can't trust it. And the defense is, as we know, is horrible too. So at least the Saints have some kind of semblance of a team. So I'm going to go Saints 5.5.
The 49ers minus 7 over the Bears. Over/under is 41.5.
I think if the 49ers by 7 is quite a bit. That's a wide spread. I think it's going to be less. I think it's going to be more like 4. But I do believe 49ers are the winners in this game.
The Bungles 6.5 over the Steelers, and the over/under is 44.5.
Yeah. If anything, that's probably it's a division rival game. I'm going to go 4.5 victory for the Bungles.
Okay. And over under?
44 and a half. 21. I'm going to go a little bit more. I think it's going to be more like 48, 49 points.
Okay. The Eagles -4 over the Lions. Over under is 48.5.
Eagles and Lions. I'm going to go Lions in this game. This will be my first negative boo to the Las Vegas house. I think the Lions win this game. I think it's going to be less than 48 points. I'm going to go 45, 44 points.
They're playing at the Lions also.
Yeah, in Detroit, I'm going to definitely. Yeah, I think the Lions are going to be that surprise team this year.
The Dolphins -3 over the Pats. Over under is 47.
I don't even know if the Pats can score like 20 points. Yeah, I that's definitely seems like a little too high a score to me. I think it's more to be like 42, 43 points. And the Fins over the Pats. That would be a first for the Dolphins. They're playing in New England. I'm going to go New England. I don't think the Dolphins beat New England in New England.
Ooh, okay. In spite of how bad Pat's practice has been, huh?
Yeah, despite that and how bad Mac Jones seems to be and how bad and sluggish that offense is. That's one of the reasons why I think they're going to score less points is because neither of these offenses look great to me.
Let's see. The Ratbirds by 7 over the Jets. Over under is 45.5.
Yeah, I can see that being the over under. Ratbird 7 over the Jets. Yeah, I would agree to that as well. I don't see the Jets doing anything this year, and the Ratbirds with Lamar Jackson 7 points seems logical to me.
The Commanders -3 over the Jaguars, and the over under is 44.
I think the Jaguars are going to be surprising this year. I'm going to pick them over the Commanders. They're gonna win. They're not going to beat them so bad that the Commanders wish they changed their name, but it is going to be a surprising victory for the Jaguars. 41 points seems to be the more correct response out of me than 44, but it's not too out of the logical 44 points.
The Clowns by 5.5 over the over.
That can't be right.
It's Baker Mayfield. Who's that?
Baker Mayfield is Panthers.
Yeah. The Clowns by 5.5 over the Panthers, and the over under is 42.
Yeah, I think that's I can see that being exactly that.
You're not going with Baker, and he's going to fuck him up.
I love that. That was so awesome. I love that.
But I didn't say that though. That was in a private conversation. I didn't. People weren't supposed to hear that. That was between me and her.
Yeah, right. He's gonna fuck him up. Just not that
bad. The Chiefs -3 over the Chargers, and the over/under is 53.5, not 53.3, but 53.5.
Oh, that would be interesting. 53.3. I'm going to go.
Those games will be next Thursday night, just in case. I know you won't be here, but those are our Thursday night games.
I'm going to go Chargers over the Chiefs. I think we're going to see the turn of the tide over the last couple of seasons. Chargers win this game by 3, 53.5, 54, 55. Yeah, it's going to be a high-scoring game.
Yeah, as much as I like the Chiefs, that Chargers defense, man. And they've added to it. Now they got Bosa and what's his name? He just came over.
Oh yes, I can't remember either, but they got a Charger.
I didn't look at it. I had to look at the depth chart, but somebody just came over. Who's that lineup beside with Bosa? They just picked up somebody on was it trade or waiver wire?
Yeah, it was a free agent. I think it was a linebacker, wasn't it? Khalil Mack.
Right. Yeah, yeah. They picked up Khalil Mack. So, you know, I I know the offense is going to put up points, but I also think that this year the defense will be a little stingier. I'm looking forward to that game. I like the Chargers defense. I like Hubbard, uh, but we'll see. I think. I mean, it's definite that the Chiefs have taken a step back, but we'll see how far. The Broncos by 6.5 over the Seahawks. The over under is 42.
Oh, that's an interesting opening game. Yeah, if not by more. I can see this being like a 48 spread and Broncos winning by 8 or 10 points. I think Broncos are just going to steamroll.
Oh, okay. The Bucks. The spread is 1.5 over the Cowboys, and the Cowboys are at home.
I'm going to go with Cowboys over the Bucks. They just seem snake bitten and injury after injury with their offensive line. And Cowboys aren't that bad. And they showed, they should have won against San Francisco last year in the playoff game. I'm gonna go Cowboys by 3 with a 52.5 point spread.
Ooh, okay. So, what do you think? Let's see. You've got the Bucks losing in Week 1 to the Cowboys. We know usually at best there's a split, if not 2 beatdowns by the Saints. So that would be 3 losses. How many losses are you predicting for the Bucks this year?
Well, it's a lot more now with all those injuries. I'm going to go 9-8.
Who has the better record, the Bucks or the Cowboys?
I think the Cowboys will. I think the Cowboys go 10-7.
Ooh, okay, all right. From your mouth to Jerry Jones.
Yeah. Jerry Jones is loving life now. He's like he's going to show this on every big screen.
Let's see. Chargers by 3 over the Raiders. Over under is 52.
Yeah, I can see the over under 52. That makes sense to me. That's going to be a battle. Where are they're playing?
They're playing in Vegas.
I'm going to go with the home team. The next time they play, I'm going to go with the home team. The first time they play, I'm going to go with the home team. So the Raiders, and I could see the 3 being the over, last second field goal to win the game. So yeah, 3 not being the point spread, and 52 being the over under in the Raiders winning.
Okay, we mentioned the Chargers and Chiefs game that was going to be played on Thursday night, but the opening game for the Chiefs are the Cardinals, and they're favored by 4.5 over the Cardinals, and the over/under is 53.5.
I think that makes sense to me. I can go with that. I think the Chiefs. I'm a little tempted by the Cardinals, but without DeAndre Hopkins, That's where it loses me. I think if DeAndre Hopkins was not suspended, I would have flip flopped this. I don't know if Vegas would have flip flopped this. Who knows? But without DeAndre, I'm going to go Chiefs 4.5 over the Cards with a 53.5 point spread. Over under. I'm sorry. I keep flipping that. Over under 53.5.
The Packers favored by 2 over the Vikings. The Vikings are at home, and the over-under is 48.
I'm going to go with Minnesota. I think I'm going to go Minnesota +4, and flip that to 51.5.
Okay, all right. The Titans by 5. The split is the spread is 5.5 over the Giants, and the over under is 43.5.
Ooh. Titans 5.5 over the Giants. I think it's going to be even bigger. I think the Titans blow out the Giants by a couple more points. So make that 8.5 and make the 47.5 for the over under.
Okay. The bookies say Panthers by 2.5 over the Clowns, and the over under is 41.5.
Wow. Really?
Baker gets his revenge.
Yeah, I think he does. I really do. I can't trust Jacoby Brissett. I'm going to go 1.5. I think it's less than that. So 1.5 over, and for Carolina. And let's see. So drop that down to 40.
Hey man, look here. I'm getting too good. I'm just getting too good. It's 7:29. Look here. You're on our last question. The Colts -8 over the Texans, and the over under is 45.5.
So I'm going to put the Colts 80 points over the Texans, and have over under of 93 for the Colts. So yeah, absolutely. Take my advice on that. Win millions of dollars. The Colts by 80 points. Just slap the 0 on that 8, and that's how bad the Colts are going to beat the Texans. Yeah, this should be a blowout. 8 points, 10 points, easy.
Now getting back to fantasy football, and I only got a couple questions here. But number one, why is Matty Ice fallen so far in the draft in fantasy football?
That's such a good question. I can't figure that out myself.
I mean, I think I got him as a backup, I believe, in round 14.
Yeah, I mean, if not, you could probably get him even further down. I mean, he's going as a QB 19.
In some, yeah, I was going to say in some places he's on the waiver wire.
Yep, it's just totally disrespectful to me. Just because, I mean, even if I wasn't a Colts fan, Carson Wentz was a QB 14 last year, so I'd be like, this doesn't make any sense. How is Matt Ryan? And it's not like Carson Wentz ran like an extensive amount. It wasn't like he was Lamar Jackson or Kyler Murray back there. So I don't.
And he has better weapons.
Yes.
Yep. He has better weapons. He has better weapons. He has a better O line, and he's got at least a decent defense, if not a top 10 defense.
Right. So I can't figure it out. I think it's just one of those, like Derek Carr last year was an QB 28, and it's just like, what are you doing? QB 28, and this year it's Matt Ryan. It's just, I don't know. People are just not caring to draft him, so that drops his ADP. He's not, sexy. He's not Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray out there running the ball and fantastic and everything else. So since he
Yeah,
doesn't carry that
but even if you
Ferrari
pick
weight,
him up, like I said, like I picked him as a QB2. You only need him one game.
yeah,
I mean, even if you don't draft him as your starter, I mean, if you got Trey Lance, I mean, if you got Lance or Lawrence or maybe even Baker, I mean, I would pick him over any of those three.
me too. Me too. Yeah, I don't. There's no answer for it except for those people who are not drafting him and drafting, whoever, drafting Mac Jones or whatever, are going to lose out.
Yeah. So yeah, we talked about wide receivers, and I don't think I mentioned Pittman.
Yes, Pittman is definitely a breakout. He sort of broke out last year. This year, he completely breaks out. Matt Ryan is going to make him a stud, and he should. I don't know if he'll finish inside the top 12 of wide receivers, but he's going to be fringing that area on a weekly basis.
I mean, we talk about Matty Ice, but is it that we just don't have confidence in a white wide receiver?
It might. I
Is it,
mean, it's
I mean,
very
I'm just asking. I mean,
no. It's a legitimate question. I mean, there's. I mean, it's the same thing as a black quarterback, right? All they can do is run, kind of thing, right? A white wide receiver, you don't really see much out of because who's really been a star that's been white. I mean, you got what's his name from the Raiders,
well, you
Mr.
got
Pittman.
you got Edelman. When you look at Edelman, you look at there have been a few, but I'm just saying, there are also few and far in between. What about Paris Campbell?
I like Paris Campbell. He just needs to stay healthy, and I don't know how much speed he's lost since he's been injured like 3 years in a row now. He's a former first round pick, so you would think he has the talent to sort of break out, but until he does, there's you just can't trust him.
And I believe you're on your depth chart. Alex Pierce is your wide receiver 3.
Well, he would be if Paris Campbell is the wide receiver too. I don't know if that's going to stay. We'll see. But yeah, Paris Campbell is the number 2. Then Alex Pierce would be the number 3.
Well, I asked you about Damien. So, are you expecting a shakeup between Damien and Paris, where Damien is the 2 and Paris is the 3? And does that make what's the other guy you got? Strahan.
Oh,
Does that make
Strawn.
it? Yeah. Does that make him expendable?
Strawn is going to be a wide receiver 4 or 5, anyways. Yeah, Desmond Patman is a 4 or 5. None of Ashton Doolin is sort of the same kind of situation. They use Ashton Doolin a lot on like jet sweeps and tunnel screens. He's more of that kind of gadget kind of guy. Where Patman and Strawn are deep threats. They're like 6'4" and they just run down the field. They don't really run routes at all or high targets near the goal line kind of thing. So in 2 wide receiver sets, they're going, it would be Campbell and Pittman being the number 1, Campbell the number 2. In 3, they might go Alex Pierce in the slot. He'll be the big slot because he's also tall. I think he's like 6'2", 6'3", 6'3". Yeah, Alex Pierce is 6'3". So he's definitely a big slot in 3 wide receiver sets. But I honestly believe that Alex Pierce is going to probably be the number 2 before long.
Okay. Hey, well, as always, Mike, glad to talk a little fantasy football, a little football with you on a Friday evening, man. So, give us your final thoughts and any tips on the waiver wire in fantasy.
Sure, certainly, and right back at you. I enjoy hanging out with you on Friday nights, and my thoughts are definitely with Demetrius as well. And as far as my final thoughts, I'm super excited. I mean, less than a week away before week one officially kicks off for football and fantasy football. So whenever football's around, and I'm jazzed. And not only that, we got college already on its way. Week zero occurred last week, and as you mentioned, a couple games already for this week. So football, football, football. Waiver wire. Always, always, always pay attention to the waiver wire. Always, always, always try to make your team better. Do not rest on your morals with your drafted team. Teams win championships because they are active on the waiver wire. With that said, being active doesn't mean for you to be overly active. If your team is winning, just keep an eye on the waiver wire and see where you can get better. But don't try to do something because you feel like you can or you're bored or whatever. Do the waiver wire smartly, and if you do it smartly, then you will win. And in bad teams, if you're 0-3, it's not a sprint. It's a marathon. I've been 0-5 and made the playoffs. So just remember that the waiver wire is your friend. The waiver wire can turn your team around, and don't give up hope if you start out 0-3, 0-4. Yeah, it's bleak, but it doesn't mean you can't make the playoffs.
All right, man. Well, hey, you have a good weekend. Uh, Enjoy your football, and I'll see you next Friday night.
Yes, sir. Enjoy your weekend as well.
All right, you have a good one, Mike.
You too, sir. Thank you. Bye-bye.
And thank all our audience for joining us tonight. And don't forget, every Friday we'll be right here with Mr. Mike Valverde. With And the winners are. Have a great weekend. Let's talk some football next week, y'all.